It's becoming incredibly evident that Dan Niles, Ben Wright's, and to a small degree, Tudor Jones, Paul Tudor Jones, have been watching my videos to get their ideas for what they think is coming over the next few years in terms of the stock market. A big boom with a big correction. Now, obviously, any of us could be wrong. Making a guess is just that. But stick around, should be a great video today. So what's causing all of this? Well, you have a federal government that's pushing the Federal Reserve to have a group of people that are going to push interest rates lower. At the same time, these mega cap companies are spending more and more on capital expenditures, and they're reducing regulations on a lot of companies, causing a big surge into a strong economy already. Now, there is unemployment. It's a little bit wonky. The thing for me is, I don't think cutting rates is really going to make a difference in that. And I don't think the playbook that we used to use is going to be what's able to work going forward, because I do think AI is making some changes in this. It's what allowing some of these mega cap companies to be able to do the layoffs and still be as productive as they have been previously. So it's really an amazing thing going on. The problem is what ends up happening at the end, because if we surge up the way that I think we really could, there will be an end, and the end will get pretty ugly as well. Because if you have a lot of layoffs and there aren't the same type of jobs for people to go to with the same type of incomes that they're being laid off from, you're not going to have the same type of spending that you're having. Even the things like tightening the borders up. But while there's some good and bad, and people can argue whatever they want, and I'm not being political about it, the people that were making money are no longer spending money. So if they get sent out of the US, as much as that might open up jobs for Americans, and that's debatable on its own, whatever money they were making that they were spending in the US, now I'm sure some of it went back to their home countries as well, but whatever they were spending here is no longer being spent, which means slowdown in certain companies, which in turn means that they're going to have to lay people off or figure something out as well, because that's going to put a clasp on their potential growth. Now, keep in mind, I am so not gloom and doom, so I don't want anybody to hear us the wrong way. And there's no way to predict the future. But the things that Dan Niles was pointing to is exactly what I was seeing going forward. We have another 3 years of an administration that is very pro-business, that it also is spending a lot of money and investing in the stock market, as well as pushing a lower rate scenario. All of these things combined are hard to imagine there's a reason that we would have a big pullback going forward. If it brings in people who don't typically invest and you get more money into the markets than typical or should be expected, and valuations really disconnect further than what they currently are, there will be a point that that will have to correct. The other concern is the circular financing. And what I mean is, if ChatGPT is investing in Oracle, who's then investing in NVIDIA, that's then investing back into ChatGPT, is anybody really making any money, or is the money just going in a circle to each other, which is going to be a concern if it's just going into a circle and there aren't really profits and it's not real money being generated. In the meantime, for the short term, it'll look like revenue and it'll look like profits and it'll look like companies are growing. But it'll take a long time for that to play out to see if they're really making money or if they're just shuffling money back and forth between each other. And if they end up where they're just shuffling money back and forth between each other, unless there's some real profits at the end of the road that ends up making up for all of that, it'll come out and things won't work quite the way they expect to. Now, Microsoft did that years ago, from what I understand, and it worked out just fine for them, which is why that's really hard to predict down the road. I think if we get the boom that I expect, that we will have a bust. But what obviously everybody hopes for is a soft landing and things just chugging along. I think in order to have a soft landing, we need a bit of a pullback sooner than later. The further out it is, the longer it takes. If we just continue to go up day in and day out, as much as I love to see that happen, it's probably not good in the long run. Even the metals, it's nice to see silver's gotten over $50 an ounce, and I think it could go to 100, as I've said many times. I saw somebody talking about 500. Now that concerns me, because when people get outlandish and start naming these numbers that are just totally nonsense. Like, I don't mean it the wrong way. Anything's possible. So I don't want to say it can't happen, but it's a little nonsensical to call a number like 500 for silver when it's currently at $50. When people start getting totally unrealistic, is the sign of a potential top. So it is possible that right now is about as far as we'll get. I don't think so. That's why I say I don't want it heard the wrong way. The economy is probably better than what the numbers are showing. There is just this wonkiness and disconnect for what the jobs are paying and what people are able to afford, because the inflation is still kind of going through. I see it everywhere I go, and it's not like things are really stopping or we're not having any deflation. It is slowing. Things aren't going up as fast as they used to, but it's definitely not going away. And just like the disconnect in the workforce, I'm seeing the disconnect in the stock market as well. Stocks that are out of favor are getting more and more out of favor and becoming more and more of a bargain to me. I'm even noticing some things that are beginning to come on my radar, like Starbucks is looking attractive as it gets below $80 a share. I actually sold a put a few weeks out at 76 to maybe start a position in it. Now, I own Starbucks in my set it and forget it account, but if it gets down into the low 70s or high 60s, that becomes very attractive to me. And I still have faith in their new CEO that he might be able to turn things around. But things take time, and it may go against him for a while. And maybe people got too excited when he first came on, which shot the stock higher. And now it has to come back down to reality. And as it does, it may overshoot to the downside. Hopefully, if you're looking to buy it, some bad news comes out, which causes it to really crater a bit, creating the opportunity to make a good opportunity to buy some, because in the long run they're still Starbucks. I don't think they're failing. I don't really picture them going out of business. They may have to change things up and fix things. Maybe they have to do some layoffs or whatever it is they need to do to get the books back in order and start back in the growth cycle. But in the meantime, that was one that's come on my radar recently that's starting to look attractive and maybe gets to a point where I want to add on and buy some. The other ones that I've noticed that I've talked about in a few videos is healthcare still looks super attractive. I love Bristol Myers here. I even think the one ELV that Billy pointed out to me, I think that looks attractive as well. And I even noticed that Moderna is seeming to catch a bottom as well. I think this creates opportunity. I think they've been out of favor for such a long time. United Healthcare is even having another up day. Now, it's very hard for me after as big a run as it's had to really suggest it where it is now. But I thought for a long time that was the best bargain out there. It still might be, but all of healthcare seems to be attractive to me. And it has been so negative for such a long time that once it turns and once a bottom is put in, it could have a really long runway to go over the next few years in the opposite direction. And then the crazy stock that I still like is HIMSS. I still think even as it pushes around $60 a share, that it still seems attractive here. Now, earnings come out in a few weeks, and I guess it could go really crazy in either direction. But I was doing a little research on it, and when I look at its valuation on its sales versus where it's trading, you know, there are other companies in similar types of space that grow at the same type of space, that it's actually a lot less expensive than some of those. It's also interesting to try to figure out what the Fed is going to do with no data. I mean, I assume they're going to cut at the next meeting, but with all of their thousands of analysts, are they going to be able to have an idea of what's going on and how to make those decisions? Or is it just going to be a guessing game because they don't really know what the numbers look like? Now, they've talked for a while about cutting at least at the next meeting, and I guess there's another cut down the road. But I don't know what it's going to do or how valuable that's going to be to fix the things that they're hoping for. And I actually think it could spur the inflation that they're really worried about. What I'm seeing, though, is unlike the last time they cut, I haven't seen mortgage rates shoot back up like last time. I do see more inventory on the market, so I have a feeling that we're actually going to see mortgage rates come down as well, and more inventory, potentially making a better position for home buyers to be able to afford some homes. There's more selection if the rates come down a little bit further, and the prices come down a bit, that might hold the market where it gets a soft landing as well. Now, as always, if you haven't already, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, make some comments in the comment section. I know today's video is going to be a little bit short, but I got a bunch of errands to run, but I still wanted to get the video out and mention a few things about what I see going on in the market. Anyway, have a great Thursday. Again, hit that subscribe, smash the like, and make some comments. Talk to you guys soon.